Have you ever been in a meeting, where someone lays out this incredible world-changing vision?
All the time.
It's up on the whiteboard. It absolutely shines. A new corporate strategy, an ambitious community goal, whatever it is. But then just nothing.
It just stalls out.
It stalls out.
Yeah.
It never gets that escape velocity. Why does that happen? Why do so many brilliant visions just fail to launch?
Well, our sources really boil it down to one single point of failure. It's the failure to mobilize people through the vision.
So it's not a clarity problem.
No, it's a connection problem. I mean, if the vision stays just with the leader, if it doesn't get people to actually do something, the sources are pretty brutal about it. They call it imagination with good branding.
Oh,
Or just poetry. It sounds amazing, but you can't build anything with it.
that is a really crucial shift in focus. Because if it's all about what you see, then everyone else is just an audience.
Exactly.
So for our deep dive today, that's what we're really unpacking. This move away from just vision clarity, the what-to vision connection, the who.
How do you translate that divine direction into, collective movement?
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the foundational difference between asking, what do I see? And asking, who is going to move with me?
Hmm.
True vision is motion in the hearts of people. If you design this beautiful strategy, but your team doesn't see their own hands or their gifts or their purpose in it,
They just watch.
they become spectators, not co-owners.
And today, with teams being so dispersed, so distracted, charisma from a leader just isn't enough to hold it all together. People are hungry for real direction, for belonging.
That's why this connection piece is paramount. Vision without ownership, it breeds spectators. But vision with a shared purpose, that builds a movement.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating is how deep this principle goes. Our sources frame vision, especially in the biblical narrative, as this kind of divine language. It's an invitation to participate, not just a management tool.
I love that starting point in Genesis 1 and 2. It is the ultimate vision casting moment, isn't it?
It really is.
And God doesn't create a solitary figure. He creates a relational being with this privilege of partnership, a shared vision to, steward, to cultivate, to co-labor.
Right.
So participation is kind of the default setting from the very beginning.
It creates this principle of divine partnership right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Vision isn't fulfilled in isolation. It has to have collaboration.
Okay.
And if you look at all the big building projects in Scripture, it's always about activating the community. Moses didn't build the tabernacle himself.
Yeah.
He got Bezaleel and Oholiab and all the skilled artisans involved.
Yeah.
Nehemiah didn't rebuild Jerusalem's walls alone. He mobilized entire families, gave them specific sections of the wall.
So the mechanism for mobilization isn't just the leader working harder.
Not at all.
It's about effective delegation and a real sense of shared responsibility.
Precisely.
Which brings us to how these great mobilizers actually operate. They're not just announcing what could be, they're inviting people into what should be.
It becomes a shared calling.
A calling that requires everyone to step up.
And sometimes that invitation has to be disruptive. Think about what the sources call the prophet's echo. Figures like Isaiah or Amos.
Right.
Their vision wasn't about making people feel comfortable with the present. It was about challenging the status quo.
Yeah.
It forced people to see this huge gap between their complacent reality and this God-honoring future where justice rolls down like water.
So that kind of mobilization requires a certain amount of discomfort.
It does.
But how do you do that as a leader today? How do you create that tension without just causing everyone to quit? What's the difference between necessary discomfort and just bad change management?
That is a critical question. And the sources suggest that the key is in the narrative you build.
Okay.
Prophetic discomfort isn't about inconvenience for its own sake. It's about moral and aspirational alignment. It helps people see that, look, where we are now might be good, but where God wants us to be is greater. When the discomfort is framed that way, as a path toward a shared higher purpose, people will endure it. If it's just about the leader's ego, they're gone.
That makes so much sense. And we see this modeled so clearly with Jesus. He was the ultimate mobilizer, but he didn't use org charts. His vision was mobilized through discipleship.
A deeply relational process. It wasn't mass communication. It was aligning individual lives, one by one, with his vision for the kingdom.
And he empowered them.
Totally. He entrusted them with huge responsibilities, sending them out to heal, to proclaim, to teach. That act of empowerment creates such profound ownership. You're not a follower anymore. You're an active partner.
But then the sources give us this really unavoidable, really harsh warning about where that model can break down. And they use Judas Iscariot as the case study.
Yeah, the Judas story it's the critical pitfall. It's about a fundamental misalignment of expectations.
What do you mean?
Judas's vision for the Messiah was earthly power, political glory right now.
Right, overthrowing Rome.
Exactly. And when Jesus kept defining his kingdom as spiritual, as something that required suffering, Judas's vision just completely clashed with the actual plan. And that conflict, plus a lack of clarity on his role in the real vision.
It leads to disillusionment.
Directly.
So the lesson for leaders is you have to clarify roles and you have to deal with conflicting expectations head on. Otherwise, that misalignment can just poison the whole movement from the inside.
Absolutely. You have to clarify the why and the what for every single person.
Which moves us perfectly into our third section. How do you translate all this deep inspiration into actual, actionable steps?
Well, the sources lay out this journey. It's about moving an idea into an internalized conviction, and it happens in 5 stages.
Okay, what are they?
It starts with awareness, then understanding, then acceptance, but most leaders stop there.
Add acceptance.
Yeah, the team nods, they say they get it, but the real magic happens in the next 2. Buy-in, ownership, and finally, advocacy. Effective leaders have to guide their teams all the way through.
But that path is filled with obstacles.
Yeah.
The first one is what the sources call the visionary vacuum.
Ah, yes. Inspiration without instruction.
So that's casting this grand vision.
But with no concrete steps, no practical guidance. The classic example is the period of the judges, where everyone did as he saw fit.
Chaos.
Total chaos. In a modern company, it's 10 different managers all running in different directions based on their own personal interpretation of the CEO's big speech.
And then the opposite pitfall is just as dangerous, right? The overwhelmed disciple.
For sure. If the gap between today's reality and that huge vision is just too wide, if the task feels impossible, people just shut down, even if the vision is beautiful.
So what's the solution?
That's where we look to Paul's strategy, the apostles' blueprint. Paul was a master at moving beyond the abstract. I mean, look at his letters. He didn't just say, go evangelize the world.
Right. He got into the weeds.
He provided detailed, practical guidance on everything, church conflicts, personal conduct, you name it. He created what the sources call vision action pathways. He defined roles, outlined processes, and set up clear, incremental milestones.
So it's both the soaring why and the grounded how. We have to stop just broadcasting the vision from the top.
Exactly. You have to shift to co-creation.
Yeah.
People are so much more committed to a plan they helped create.
And the sources give us a great tool for this. It's called future backwards goal setting. How does that work?
It's a fantastic way to facilitate that co-creation. So first, the whole group gets together and vividly defines what success looks like in, say, 1 to 5 years. That's the mountaintop.
Right.
Then, instead of making a to-do list for tomorrow, the team identifies the 3 to 5 major milestones, the big rocks that you have to hit to get to that mountaintop.
Critical steps along the way.
Critical steps. And then the team works backward from those big rocks to define the key actions, the resources needed, and most importantly, who owns what.
When you help build the path, you're committed to walking it.
It changes everything. Accountability becomes a shared commitment, not a burden from the leader.
That makes a ton of sense.
Mm.
And speaking of commitment, our last section gets into the engine of sustained engagement. This isn't just about clear roles. It's about tapping into those deep intrinsic motivators.
Right.
People need to know their work matters. This idea of the call to significance.
Absolutely. Leaders have to frame every single task within that larger, significant narrative. Think about Peter. Jesus didn't just give him a new job. He gave him a new identity. He elevated him from catching fish, which is a livelihood,
To catching souls.
an eternal purpose. If your team only sees themselves building spreadsheets, they're going to burn out. If they see themselves participating in a divine design, their endurance is just on another level.
So to make that practical, the sources suggest these things called vision alignment sessions.
Yeah.
And these aren't just status updates.
No, they're structured, deep dialogues. And they require pre-work. You have to ask people to come prepared to articulate how the vision connects with their unique gifts and passions.
So they've thought about it beforehand.
Yes. And then the session itself is all about role clarification, linking their personal story directly to the bigger vision.
So instead of the leader assigning a task, you're asking something like, given your gifts, what specific actions do you feel called to take to make this real?
That question changes the whole dynamic. It completely reverses it and deals with that Judas warning we talked about, making sure expectations are aligned.
Okay, but what about the long haul? I mean, a truly divine vision can take decades. How do you stop people from burning out or drifting away when the initial excitement is gone?
That is the ultimate test of resilience. Sustaining vision means you have to constantly remind the team of the ultimate divine promise, the endurance of faith.
Hmm.
A leader's job is to continually point beyond the immediate hurdles, to remind them of the unseen realities of God's ultimate victory. You don't ignore the struggle, but you give it context in an eternal timeline.
This whole deep dive really has been about a transformation, hasn't it? It's about vision stopping being the leader's private idea and becoming this shared reality.
Yes.
Mobilization, then, is this divine privilege of linking our human effort to God's eternal design.
And if there's one key measure to take away from this, it's this. The true measure of a great vision isn't how grand it sounds on a stage. It's how effectively it transforms the quiet, uncertain listener into a courageous, purpose-driven agent of the kingdom.
The shift from spectator to agent.
That's the whole game.
That is the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
So here is a final thought for you to carry with you this week, and it comes straight from our source material. What vision are you currently carrying that will only truly come alive when you stop being the central character and instead become the facilitator of others' calling?